Choosing constructive responses is a crucial aspect of emotional intelligence, one that empowers us to handle situations thoughtfully and build positive interactions. Emotions are a natural and essential part of our lives, however, they can lead to destructive reactions when we respond impulsively, especially when emotions like anger, frustration, or sadness are involved. By labeling our emotions and choosing constructive responses, we can shift from merely reacting to consciously responding in a way that aligns with our values and goals. This deliberate approach strengthens our personal resilience, nurtures our relationships, and enables us to turn challenging moments into opportunities for growth. The first step in choosing constructive responses is identifying and labeling our emotions. When we face a difficult or emotionally charged situation, we might feel a surge of anger, frustration, disappointment, or sadness. Labeling these feelings accurately, such as "I am frustrated because I feel misunderstood," allows us to understand the underlying cause of our emotions instead of simply reacting to the surface feeling. Labeling gives us a clear understanding of what we're experiencing, providing insight that is vital in helping us decide how best to handle the situation. For example, labeling an emotion as frustration instead of anger might indicate a need to clarify or communicate expectations, while sadness could signal the need for comfort or self-care. Understanding these distinctions helps us respond in ways that address the root issue. Constructive responses are responses that seek resolution, build understanding, or move us closer to our goals. They are a conscious choice rather than an automatic reaction, meaning they require mindfulness and self-control. In challenging situations, we may feel an urge to react quickly or defensively. Pausing to reflect on the most constructive way to respond allows us to consider the potential outcomes of different reactions. For instance, if we're upset with a colleague over a miscommunication, a constructive response might involve calmly clarifying expectations rather than accusing them of negligence. This approach not only helps to resolve the issue but also maintains a positive working relationship. When we choose responses based on clear intentions, we avoid escalating conflicts and open the door for productive dialogue. One of the key elements in constructive responding is empathy. Practicing empathy allows us to put ourselves in another person's shoes and consider their perspective, which can change the way we approach the situation. When we label our own emotions, we become more aware of how situations affect us, which can increase our ability to understand and validate the emotions of others. In an argument with a friend, for example, recognizing our own feelings of hurt or frustration can help us empathize with the fact that they, too, might be experiencing similar emotions. This empathy can lead us to choose words and actions that reduce tension rather than exacerbate it, fostering an atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. Empathy is a cornerstone of constructive responses, as it helps us navigate conflicts in a way that preserves and strengthens relationships. A constructive response also involves focusing on solutions rather than dwelling on problems. When emotions are high, it's easy to fixate on what went wrong or to assign blame. However, a solution-oriented mindset shifts the focus toward resolving the issue and moving forward. For instance, if we're frustrated by a project delay at work, a constructive response might involve collaborating with colleagues to find ways to meet the deadline rather than complaining or assigning fault. Choosing to approach the situation with a mindset that seeks solutions not only helps address the problem effectively, but also sets a positive tone that others are likely to follow. This approach fosters an environment of collaboration and resilience, which can be especially valuable in professional and personal settings. Another critical aspect of constructive responses is self-regulation, which is our ability to manage and control our emotions even in challenging circumstances. Self-regulation helps us resist the urge to react impulsively, which can lead to damaging consequences, and instead respond in ways that align with our values. Self-regulation involves not only labeling emotions but also understanding how these emotions influence our behavior and making a conscious choice to respond constructively. For example, in a situation where we feel disrespected, self-regulation might prompt us to express our feelings calmly rather than lashing out. By practicing self-regulation, we gain the power to shape our responses in ways that promote positive outcomes and avoid unnecessary conflicts. Communication skills also play an important role in choosing constructive responses. When we label our emotions accurately, it becomes easier to express them clearly to others. Clear communication can prevent misunderstandings and pave the way for more productive conversations. For instance, instead of saying "you never listen to me," a more constructive response might be, "I feel frustrated when I don't feel heard." This subtle shift in language makes it clear that the issue lies in a feeling rather than an accusation, allowing the other person to respond without becoming defensive. Constructive communication emphasizes expressing our needs and feelings openly while remaining respectful of others' perspectives. leading to healthier and more effective interactions. Reflecting on our core values and long-term goals can also guide us toward constructive responses. In moments of emotional intensity, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters to us. But taking a moment to remember our values such as kindness, integrity, or personal growth can help us make choices that align with our principles. For instance, if kindness is a core value, responding to a disagreement with empathy rather than hostility becomes a way to stay true to that value. Likewise, keeping long-term goals in mind can prevent us from sacrificing what's important for a fleeting emotional response. By prioritizing our values and goals, we ensure that our actions contribute to our overall well-being and personal growth. Developing the habit of choosing constructive responses is also crucial for building emotional resilience. Life is filled with situations that test our patience, understanding, and self-control. When we make a conscious effort to respond constructively, we build resilience by learning how to handle difficult situations with poise and purpose. Over time, these constructive choices become second nature, allowing us to face future challenges with confidence and calm. Emotional resilience is not just about withstanding stress, but also about adapting and responding in ways that strengthen our emotional well-being and relationships. By choosing constructive responses consistently, we become better equipped to handle life's ups and downs without losing our sense of balance. In conclusion, choosing constructive responses is a powerful way to navigate our emotions and interact meaningfully with others. It begins with labeling our emotions accurately, understanding what we're feeling and why, and then responding in a way that aligns with our values, prioritizes empathy, and focuses on solutions. By taking the time to reflect, communicate clearly, and act with intention, we can handle challenging situations in ways that support our personal growth and enhance our relationships. Constructive responses help us transform emotional reactions into purposeful actions, allowing us to engage with life in a way that is mindful, resilient, and true to ourselves. Through this practice, we cultivate a life that is not only emotionally balanced but also deeply rewarding, as we learn to handle challenges with wisdom and compassion. Building emotional resilience is an essential skill that helps us navigate life's challenges with strength, adaptability, and a positive outlook. Emotional resilience refers to our capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and maintain emotional balance in the face of stress, adversity, and change. While emotions are a natural and vital part of life, they can sometimes overwhelm us if not managed effectively. By learning to label and understand our emotions, we lay the groundwork for resilience, allowing us to face challenges more constructively. This ability to bounce back is not only crucial for personal well-being, but also plays a significant role in our relationships, productivity, and overall happiness. At the core of emotional resilience is self-awareness, which begins with the practice of emotional labeling. Emotional labeling involves identifying and naming the emotions we experience, such as I feel frustrated, I am anxious, or I am excited. By labeling emotions, we gain clarity about what we are experiencing, and this clarity is vital for developing resilience. When we're able to identify specific emotions, we can address them directly, rather than being swept up in an indistinct wave of stress or confusion. For example, labeling an emotion as disappointment rather than simply feeling bad helps us understand the cause and impact of our feelings. By practicing this skill consistently, we build a habit of checking in with ourselves, which is essential in strengthening our emotional resilience. One of the key reasons labeling emotions fosters resilience is that it gives us a sense of control. Emotions often arise quickly, influenced by external events or internal thoughts, and can feel overwhelming if we don't fully understand them. Labeling helps us move from feeling out of control to feeling empowered by clearly identifying what we're experiencing. In this way, we're less likely to be blindsided by emotions and more able to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. For instance, if a sudden project at work makes us feel overwhelmed, labeling that emotion as stress rather than just frustration allows us to seek solutions such as breaking down tasks or seeking support that directly address the stress rather than escalating into a full-blown reaction. This sense of control is fundamental to resilience, as it reminds us that, even in difficult situations, we have the capacity to manage our emotional responses. Labeling emotions also strengthens resilience by reducing emotional intensity. Studies have shown that when we label our emotions, it activates the brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for reasoning and problem solving. This reduces the activation in the amygdala, the part of the brain that triggers strong emotional responses like fear and anger. In practice, this means that when we name our emotions, we create a psychological pause that allows us to calm down and approach the situation with greater clarity. Imagine a situation where you're angry after receiving negative feedback. Labeling this feeling as anger or embarrassment allows you to engage your rational mind and reflect on how to improve rather than reacting defensively or holding on to resentment. This process helps to de-escalate strong emotions, making it easier to cope and increasing our resilience. Another way that labeling builds resilience is by helping us identify patterns in our emotional responses. When we make a habit of labeling our emotions, we can start to recognize recurring emotional patterns in specific situations. For instance, if we notice a pattern of feeling anxious before presentations, we can prepare ourselves mentally and physically to handle those feelings rather than letting anxiety control us each time. This awareness of patterns allows us to proactively address triggers and develop coping strategies, turning potential stressors into manageable challenges. Over time, this pattern recognition helps us feel more equipped to handle a range of situations, reinforcing our emotional resilience. Emotional labeling also fosters resilience by promoting self-compassion. When we label our emotions, we're engaging in a form of self-acceptance, acknowledging that it's okay to feel a certain way. This act of recognizing and naming our emotions without judgment builds a positive relationship with ourselves, where we view emotions as natural rather than weaknesses. For example, if we feel sadness after a setback, labeling it as such allows us to acknowledge and process the emotion rather than ignoring it or feeling ashamed. This self-compassion is essential for resilience, as it helps us treat ourselves with kindness during difficult times rather than succumbing to self-criticism. Through self-compassion, we build the strength to navigate challenges without being overly hard on ourselves, which supports our long-term emotional health. Building resilience through emotional labeling also enhances our ability to adapt. Life is full of change, and adapting to new circumstances is a major part of resilience. Labeling emotions helps us become more flexible in our approach, as we can recognize and address each emotion as it arises rather than feeling overwhelmed by constant shifts. For example, moving to a new city might bring up multiple emotions: excitement, fear, sadness, which can feel confusing if not identified. By labeling each emotion, we can acknowledge and address them individually, helping us adapt to the change with greater ease. This adaptability is a cornerstone of resilience, as it enables us to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs with a clear and balanced mindset. Emotional labeling further supports resilience by enhancing our relationships. When we're resilient, we're better able to communicate and connect with others, even during challenging times. By labeling our own emotions, we can express them more effectively to others, reducing the chances of misunderstandings or conflicts. For example, if we're feeling stressed due to work, we can communicate this to a partner or friend rather than unintentionally taking out our frustration on them. This open communication strengthens relationships, providing us with a support system that is essential for resilience. Knowing we can rely on loved ones during tough times boosts our ability to face difficulties with confidence and calm. Consistent practice of emotional labeling is one of the best ways to make resilience a natural part of our response to challenges. Each time we label and understand an emotion, we're training our mind to approach life with a thoughtful, calm attitude. Over time, this practice helps us build an inner reserve of strength, enabling us to respond constructively to stressors, setbacks, and adversity. Emotional resilience doesn't mean avoiding negative emotions, rather, it's about learning how to process them in a healthy way. This resilience leads to personal growth, as we become more confident in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. In conclusion, building emotional resilience through the practice of labeling is a powerful strategy for managing life's inevitable challenges. By identifying and naming our emotions, we gain control, clarity, and a greater sense of self-awareness, allowing us to handle stressors with calm and adaptability. Emotional labeling helps us reduce emotional intensity, recognize patterns, practice self-compassion, and communicate effectively with others, all of which are essential components of resilience. This habit strengthens our ability to face adversity and bounce back, contributing to a balanced, fulfilling life. Through emotional resilience, we can navigate both the highs and lows with grace, maintaining inner stability while fostering growth and positive relationships. As we continue to label and understand our emotions, we build a foundation of resilience that supports us in leading a life that is both emotionally rich and mentally strong. Shifting from neediness to trust is a journey that transforms not only how we see ourselves but also how we relate to others and approach life. Neediness comes from a place of insecurity, a deep-seated belief that something essential is missing and must be filled by others, circumstances, or achievements. This mindset can leave us feeling constantly unfulfilled, searching for validation or completion outside of ourselves. But when we make the shift to trust, we step into a state of inner confidence and calm, understanding that we are whole as we are, This transition not only brings us peace, but also allows us to approach relationships, goals, and challenges with resilience, ease, and a strong sense of self. Neediness is often born from fear of being alone, of being unworthy, or of not having enough. When we operate from a needy state, we become dependent on external factors to validate us. We seek approval, love, and reassurance, clinging to people or situations in the hope that they will fill the gaps we feel within ourselves. This neediness can create a cycle of desperation, as we become overly attached to outcomes, fearful that if things don't go our way, we'll be left empty or unloved. This desperation is not only exhausting, but it can also push away the very things we desire. Relationships, for example, can feel strained when one person constantly seeks reassurance, validation, or attention, as it places a weight of expectation on the other person that can feel overwhelming or even stifling. Shifting to trust, on the other hand, changes everything. Trust allows us to release this need for control, understanding that our worth is not dependent on anyone else's actions or decisions. It's a profound state of inner security that comes from realizing that we are enough as we are, and that our value is inherent and unchanging. Trust doesn't mean being passive or detached from our desires. Rather, it means moving forward with faith in ourselves and in the process of life, believing that what is meant for us will come in its own time and in the right way. This kind of trust fosters a sense of patience and calm, freeing us from the constant pull of neediness and allowing us to interact with others from a place of strength and authenticity. Making this shift from neediness to trust often requires confronting some of our deepest fears and insecurities. Neediness thrives on the belief that we are not enough, that we are somehow lacking and must be completed by something or someone else. This belief can be challenging to dismantle, as it is often ingrained through past experiences, societal expectations, or the subconscious messages we've internalized over the years. But by recognizing these patterns and understanding where they come from, we can begin to break free from them. A powerful first step is self-awareness, acknowledging when we are feeling needy or desperate and asking ourselves why. By doing so, we gain clarity about the underlying fears driving our behavior, and we can start to shift our focus from what we lack to what we already have. Trusting in ourselves and in the process of life requires developing a mindset of abundance. When we trust, we believe that there is enough love, opportunity, and success to go around, and that we don't need to cling to any single person or outcome for our happiness. This mindset is deeply freeing. It allows us to engage with life from a place of generosity and openness, rather than fear and competition. We stop feeling as though we must constantly strive to win approval, affection, or success, and instead allow things to come to us naturally. In relationships, this shift means we no longer cling to our partners or friends out of fear of abandonment. Instead, we trust that if the relationship is right, it will flourish, and if it isn't, something better aligned with us will come along. Building this trust also involves letting go of the need to control every aspect of our lives. Control is a form of fear, an attempt to make everything fit our expectations so we can feel safe. But life is inherently unpredictable, and trying to control it often leads to frustration and disappointment. Trusting in life means accepting that we cannot control everything, and that's okay. It's about allowing things to unfold naturally rather than forcing outcomes. When we let go of this need for control, we experience greater peace, because we're no longer fighting against the flow of life. This doesn't mean we don't take action toward our goals, but we do so without rigid attachment to specific outcomes, trusting that whatever happens is in our best interest. One of the most beautiful aspects of shifting from neediness to trust is that it strengthens our relationships. People are naturally drawn to those who exude confidence and self-assurance. When we no longer place the burden of our happiness on others, we create space for healthier, more balanced connections. In romantic relationships, for instance, trust allows us to give our partners the freedom to be themselves, without constantly needing their reassurance or attention. This, in turn, creates a foundation of respect and mutual appreciation, as both people feel valued and accepted without conditions or demands. Friendships and professional relationships also benefit from this shift, as we become more resilient, less easily offended, and more understanding of others' boundaries and perspectives. Trusting in oneself and in life is a skill that develops over time. It requires regular practice and a willingness to let go of old habits and beliefs. Meditation, journaling, and affirmations can be powerful tools in building this trust, as they help us reconnect with our inner selves, reinforce positive beliefs, and quiet the mind's fears and insecurities. By spending time in self-reflection, we can become more aware of our triggers, understanding when and why we feel needy, and choosing instead to embrace thoughts and actions that foster trust. With patience and practice, we start to see that the more we trust, the less we need to seek outside ourselves for validation or fulfillment. As we shift from neediness to trust, we ultimately experience a sense of freedom and peace. We realize that our worth is not dependent on any external factor, and we become more resilient in the face of life's ups and downs. Trusting ourselves means we are prepared to handle whatever comes our way, confident in our ability to make decisions and navigate challenges. This shift liberates us from the exhausting cycle of seeking and clinging, allowing us to enjoy life more fully and to engage in relationships that are authentic, supportive, and deeply fulfilling. In choosing trust over neediness, we not only transform our relationship with ourselves, but also invite more joy, abundance, and love into our lives. Practicing inner alignment is a profound and transformative process that involves harmonizing our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions with our deepest values and desires. When we practice inner alignment, we consciously choose to live in a way that reflects our true selves, rather than reacting to external pressures or influences. Inner alignment is about fostering a sense of coherence between our internal world and the life we wish to create. By aligning with our true desires and values, we develop a powerful sense of purpose, clarity, and resilience, which in turn attracts the people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with who we are. At its core, inner alignment begins with self-awareness. We must first understand our core values, passions, and authentic desires. Many people find themselves pursuing goals or making choices based on societal expectations, family influences, or the need for external validation, rather than their own inner guidance. To realign with our true selves, we need to examine our beliefs and motivations, asking ourselves what truly matters to us. For example, rather than working toward a promotion solely because it's expected, we might ask if it aligns with our long-term vision or brings us fulfillment. When we understand and embrace our true values, we can then set goals and make decisions that support these values, leading to a more meaningful and satisfying life. Practicing inner alignment also involves a deep connection with our intuition. Intuition is often described as an inner knowing or a sense that guides us toward the right decisions, even when logic or outside opinions suggest otherwise. Many times, our intuition speaks softly, nudging us in subtle ways. Yet, in a noisy world full of competing opinions and influences, it can be challenging to hear this inner voice. Practicing alignment requires us to cultivate mindfulness and quiet the external noise to tune into what our inner self is trying to communicate. Whether through meditation, journaling, or simply spending quiet time in nature, we can foster a stronger connection with our intuition, allowing it to guide us in decisions that truly align with our essence. One of the most impactful ways to practice inner alignment is by becoming mindful of our thoughts and emotions. Our thoughts and feelings are powerful indicators of our alignment or misalignment with our true self. When we're in alignment, our thoughts tend to be positive, constructive, and empowering, and our emotions reflect a sense of peace, joy, or contentment. However, when we feel disconnected from our inner truth, we often experience thoughts that are critical, doubtful, or fearful, which can lead to feelings of stress, frustration, or unease. By paying attention to these mental and emotional cues, we can identify when we're off course and make adjustments to bring ourselves back into alignment. Practicing inner alignment also involves cultivating an attitude of self-acceptance and compassion. Often people resist aligning with their true selves because they fear judgment or believe they are somehow unworthy of pursuing their authentic desires. They might suppress certain dreams, interests, or qualities, thinking they need to fit a specific mold to be accepted. This fear of judgment can create an inner conflict, pulling us away from our true selves. However, when we accept ourselves fully and practice self-compassion, we allow ourselves to pursue our passions and goals without self-imposed restrictions or shame. By embracing who we are and acknowledging our unique gifts, we cultivate an inner harmony that fuels our alignment with our true path. Inner alignment also requires us to consistently assess and, if needed, adjust our actions. Once we understand our values and beliefs, we need to ensure that our behaviors are aligned with them. It's easy to declare certain values or beliefs, but it takes effort to embody them in our daily lives. For instance, if one of our values is health, we must take action that supports this, such as eating nutritious food, exercising regularly, and taking care of our mental well-being. If we value integrity, we should strive to communicate honestly and uphold our commitments. By taking action in alignment with our values, we reinforce our commitment to ourselves, creating a life that reflects our true intentions. Another critical aspect of practicing inner alignment is letting go of limiting beliefs and past conditioning that may no longer serve us. Many of us hold on to beliefs that were formed in childhood or due to past experiences that no longer align with who we are today. For example, we may have internalized beliefs such as "I'm not good enough," or "I have to work hard to be loved." These limiting beliefs can prevent us from pursuing our dreams or feeling at peace with ourselves. Practicing alignment involves examining these beliefs and questioning whether they are true or helpful. By releasing beliefs that restrict us, we make space for new, empowering beliefs that align with our true aspirations. In practicing inner alignment, patience is essential. Realigning with our true selves is not an overnight process, but a lifelong journey that requires continuous reflection and recalibration. There will be times when we stray from our path, get distracted by external influences, or feel uncertain about our direction. During these times, it's important to practice patience and remember that alignment is about progress, not perfection. Each step we take to align with our inner truth brings us closer to living a fulfilling and authentic life. One of the benefits of practicing inner alignment is the positive impact it has on our relationships. When we are in alignment, we approach relationships from a place of authenticity, no longer feeling the need to pretend or compromise our values to be accepted. This authenticity attracts people who resonate with who we are and encourages deeper, more genuine connections. Moreover, when we are aligned, we have a stronger sense of boundaries and can identify relationships that might not be in our best interest. This clarity empowers us to surround ourselves with people who support and encourage our growth, creating a network of positive and uplifting connections. Letting go of fear-based actions is a powerful step towards living a life filled with authenticity, fulfillment, and personal empowerment. Fear can be a significant barrier that prevents us from pursuing our goals, dreams, and relationships. It manifests in various ways through anxiety, hesitation, self-doubt, and avoidance, leading us to make choices that may not align with our true selves. By learning to recognize and release these fear-based actions, we can transform our lives, cultivating a mindset that embraces courage, resilience, and possibility. The first step in letting go of fear-based actions is to recognize and acknowledge the fears that drive them. Fear often operates in the background, influencing our thoughts and behaviors without us even realizing it. Common fears include the fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, and fear of not being enough. Each of these fears can lead to actions that limit our potential, such as staying in unfulfilling jobs, avoiding meaningful conversations, or shying away from pursuing our passions. To break free from this cycle, we need to bring these fears to the surface, examining them closely and understanding their origins. Journaling or engaging in self-reflection can be helpful tools in this process, as they allow us to articulate our fears and begin to understand the underlying beliefs that fuel them. Once we have identified our fears, we can begin to challenge and reframe them. Fear is often rooted in outdated beliefs or past experiences that no longer serve us. For instance, if we fear failure, we might reflect on our past experiences and recognize that failure is a natural part of growth and learning. By reframing our perspective on failure from seeing it as a definitive end to viewing it as an opportunity for growth, we can reduce its power over us. This cognitive shift allows us to approach challenges with curiosity rather than dread, empowering us to take actions that align with our true desires instead of allowing fear to dictate our choices. Another vital aspect of letting go of fear-based actions is embracing vulnerability. Fear often drives us to create walls around ourselves, protecting us from potential hurt but also isolating us from genuine connection and growth. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we open the door to deeper relationships and more authentic experiences. This might mean expressing our true feelings to someone, asking for help when needed, or pursuing a goal that feels risky. While vulnerability can be uncomfortable, it is also where true growth occurs. It requires courage to step into the unknown, but by doing so, we build resilience and discover strengths we may not have known we possessed. In addition to reframing our fears and embracing vulnerability, cultivating self-compassion is essential in letting go of fear-based actions. We are often our harshest critics, and when fear arises, it can be easy to fall into a cycle of self-judgment and negative self-talk. Practicing self-compassion involves treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, particularly during difficult times. Instead of berating ourselves for feeling fear or for past mistakes, we can choose to acknowledge our humanity and the fact that everyone experiences fear. By practicing self-compassion, we create a nurturing internal environment that encourages us to take risks and make choices aligned with our true selves, free from the weight of judgment. Letting go of fear-based actions also involves taking incremental steps toward the things we desire. Often fear can feel overwhelming, leading to paralysis or avoidance. To counter this, we can break our goals into smaller, manageable actions that gradually move us toward what we want. For example, if we fear public speaking, instead of avoiding it altogether, we might start by speaking up in smaller group settings or practicing in front of friends. By taking small steps, we build confidence and resilience over time, gradually diminishing the grip that fear has on our actions. Additionally, seeking support from others can be an invaluable resource in letting go of fear-based actions. We don't have to navigate our fears alone. Sharing our experiences with trusted friends, family members, or mentors can provide us with fresh perspectives and encouragement. Often just articulating our fears can reduce their power, as it allows us to see them from a new angle. Supportive relationships also create a sense of accountability, motivating us to take actions we might otherwise avoid. Moreover, engaging with communities or groups that share our interests or goals can foster a sense of belonging and solidarity, helping to ease the fears that often accompany pursuing new paths. Mindfulness practices can also play a significant role in releasing fear-based actions. Mindfulness encourages us to stay present in the moment rather than getting lost in our fears about the future or our regrets about the past. Techniques such as meditation, deep breathing, or grounding exercises can help us calm our minds and create space between ourselves and our fear responses. When we practice mindfulness, we become more aware of our thoughts and feelings without judgment, allowing us to observe our fears without being overwhelmed by them. This awareness enables us to respond to fear with intention rather than reacting out of habit or compulsion. As we work to let go of fear-based actions, it's important to recognize that this is a process. Fear is a natural human emotion, and it's normal for it to arise as we pursue new goals or step outside our comfort zones. Instead of expecting fear to disappear completely, we can learn to coexist with it. By acknowledging our fear and understanding its presence, we can choose to take action despite it. This shift in mindset is crucial. It allows us to see fear not as a barrier, but as a sign that we are pushing against our limits and growing. Letting go of fear-based actions also leads to a profound sense of freedom and empowerment. When we release the grip that fear has on us, we become more open to possibilities and experiences that align with our true selves. We no longer feel the need to conform to external expectations or to play it safe. Instead, we embrace a life that reflects our passions, values, and aspirations. This newfound freedom opens doors to opportunities we may have previously overlooked or deemed impossible. Ultimately, letting go of fear-based actions is a journey towards self-discovery and empowerment. It requires us to confront our fears, challenge limiting beliefs, embrace vulnerability, and practice self-compassion. By taking incremental steps, seeking support, and engaging in mindfulness, we can gradually shift our relationship with fear, transforming it from a source of paralysis into a catalyst for growth. This shift not only enriches our own lives but also inspires those around us to embrace their fears and pursue their true passions. As we let go of fear-based actions, we unlock the potential within us, allowing our authentic selves to shine and guiding us toward a life filled with purpose, connection, and joy. Cultivating patience and presence is a transformative practice that enhances our quality of life and deepens our connection with ourselves and others. In our fast-paced world, where instant gratification is often the norm, patience can feel like a rare virtue. We rush through our days, multitasking and striving to meet deadlines, all while the noise of technology and social media pulls our attention in countless directions. Yet the ability to be present in each moment and to cultivate patience is crucial for our emotional well-being, personal growth, and the quality of our relationships. At its core, patience is the capacity to endure difficult situations with a calm and composed mindset. It allows us to withstand delays, setbacks, and frustrations without losing our temper or becoming overwhelmed. Cultivating patience begins with recognizing that many things in life are beyond our control. Often we want to force situations to unfold according to our timelines, leading to frustration and dissatisfaction when reality does not align with our desires. By accepting that some things take time to develop and that every process has its own pace, we begin to foster a more patient attitude. This acceptance is a significant step in cultivating resilience, as it empowers us to navigate challenges without becoming emotionally reactive. To cultivate patience, we must also develop an awareness of our triggers. What situations tend to evoke impatience in us? Is it waiting in line, dealing with slow internet connections, or interacting with someone who doesn't share our sense of urgency? By identifying these triggers, we can prepare ourselves to respond more mindfully. For example, when we find ourselves becoming impatient, we can pause and take a few deep breaths, redirecting our focus to the present moment. This practice helps to ground us and fosters a sense of calm, making it easier to navigate frustrating situations with grace. Being present in our daily lives is another crucial aspect of cultivating patience. When we are present, we engage fully with the moment at hand, rather than being preoccupied with what we need to do next or what has already happened. Presence invites us to experience life as it unfolds, savoring each moment rather than rushing through it. Practicing mindfulness, whether through meditation, deep breathing, or simply taking a moment to observe our surroundings, helps us anchor ourselves in the present. Mindfulness encourages us to let go of distractions and connect with our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. By becoming more aware of the present, we naturally cultivate patience as we learn to appreciate the journey rather than fixating solely on the destination. A powerful practice for cultivating presence is to integrate mindfulness into everyday activities. This could involve consciously focusing on the act of eating, truly tasting and appreciating our food, rather than mindlessly consuming it. When we wash the dishes, we can immerse ourselves in the sensations of the water, the textures of the dishes, and the rhythm of our movements. By bringing awareness to mundane tasks, we transform them into opportunities for mindfulness and presence, enriching our daily experience and allowing us to connect more deeply with the moment. Furthermore, cultivating patience and presence can significantly enhance our relationships. When we practice patience with others, we foster a sense of understanding and empathy. In conversations, for instance, being patient allows us to listen deeply, providing our full attention without interrupting or rushing to respond. This kind of active listening creates a safe space for others to express themselves, strengthening our connections and deepening our bonds. The simple act of being present during conversations, maintaining eye contact, nodding in understanding, and responding thoughtfully can transform the quality of our interactions, making others feel valued and heard. Patience also plays a crucial role in personal growth and self-improvement. Many people seek to change habits, pursue goals, or learn new skills, but these processes take time and persistence. By cultivating patience with ourselves, we create a nurturing environment for growth. Instead of expecting immediate results or perfection, we can embrace the learning process, understanding that setbacks are part of the journey. This mindset encourages us to approach challenges with curiosity, rather than frustration, allowing us to learn from our experiences and develop resilience. Another important aspect of cultivating patience and presence is letting go of the need for control. We often become impatient when we attempt to control outcomes or force situations to go our way. Learning to relinquish control is a profound practice that fosters patience. It involves trusting that life unfolds in its own time, and that we do not have to force our desires to manifest. This shift in mindset can be challenging, especially in a society that often emphasizes achievement and urgency, but it ultimately leads to greater peace and acceptance. In addition to letting go of control, cultivating gratitude is another powerful tool for enhancing patience and presence. When we focus on the things we are grateful for, we shift our perspective from what we lack to what we have. Gratitude grounds us in the present moment, allowing us to appreciate the beauty and richness of our lives, even in the midst of challenges. By acknowledging and celebrating the small joys, we develop a sense of contentment that naturally nurtures patience. Gratitude reminds us that everything is a process, and there is value in the journey itself. As we cultivate patience and presence, we also become more attuned to our inner landscape. We learn to recognize our emotions and respond to them with greater awareness. For example, when feelings of frustration or anxiety arise, instead of reacting impulsively, we can take a moment to pause, breathe, and check in with ourselves. This practice allows us to respond thoughtfully rather than reactively, fostering a sense of control over our emotional responses. By developing emotional awareness, we create space for more intentional choices, enhancing our overall well-being.